What if you had the key to unlock the aging process, improve your mental clarity, increase energy levels, improve your fat burning, and also lower inflammation? And the answer, I will tell you, is so simple and has been utilized since the beginning of time. I am speaking of intermittent fasting. There was a time when we did not have access to 24-hour convenience stores or the refrigerator in the other room. In fact, the abundance that most of us enjoy today is very, very new, maybe in the past century or two, which is really seconds on the clock of the 200,000 years that humans have existed. We have simply not adapted to our modern food supply. While our brains continue to be wired from caveman times and thinking about where is that next meal coming from. And this, of course, is a recipe for disaster, as overweight is now the new normal and obesity rates have skyrocketed. Given that the best prediction of someone gaining weight over their lifetime is simply having been on a diet, it is clear that it is time for a new solution. Perhaps we should look for a very old solution to a new problem. I'm Bonnie London, and in today's video, I am going to explain to you a brief history of fasting, some common held beliefs about fasting, the top benefits, and finally, how you can get started. Fasting has been around since the beginning of time. First, as a necessity for survival, then religious purposes, and even medicinal purposes, recommended by the father of medicine, Hippocrates, who himself stated, "To feed when sick is to feed the sickness." Think about even our animals. They know instinctually not to eat when they're not feeling well, and we use the phrase that they are off of their feed. And humans, of course, we do lose our appetite as well. And we might want to consider this the oldest remedy for illness that has ever really existed. Okay, now I would like to separate some ongoing myths about fasting from reality. Number one, fasting could put you in the starvation mode. Now, starvation mode refers to the notion that without food, your metabolism will slow down and hold on to fat stores. And this actually is well proven with calorie-restricted diets, especially over the long term. But think about it logically. If short-term fasting dropped our metabolism, then humans would really not have been able to survive as a species. In fact, the opposite has demonstrated to be true, that actually fasting revs up your metabolism, and hormones instruct the body to use your own fat for fuel. What do we think all of this extra storage is for? Number two, fasting will cause muscle loss. Now, we humans have evolved again to survive fasting. The food energy stored as fat, we use this first. Muscle is only used as a last resort, when even for people who have very, very low body fat. Number three, fasting could lead to overeating. Well, this does seem to make sense, but actually in studies, it appears that over time, fasting decreases overall intake and appetite, even in the days that people are not engaging in fasting. Now I want to speak about the top benefits, because there are many, many benefits to fasting. Number one, I like to always say, well, there's nothing to buy, there's nothing to prepare. Haha. Sounds pretty simple. But actually, it's nothing to do with eating. It's really a style of eating and the timing. What are the top benefits of fasting and why you want to consider adding it to your life? Number one would be weight loss. Obviously, over time, if you don't eat, you are going to lose weight. But why losing weight this way versus what we've been doing over the past century is so dramatically different is the effect on the energy storage hormone insulin. Because fasting has a unique ability, because in the absence of food, we are going to lower insulin. Number two, diabetes. Insulin not only is a driver of obesity, but it also is a driver for diabetes. So fasting has demonstrated to be very powerful in helping with this chronic condition as well. Heart disease, which is still the top killer. Now, fasting improves 4 of the top risk factors, such as blood pressure, cholesterol levels, of course, diabetes, and weight. Neurological well-being. We have actually an increase in mental activity when we're hungry. We increase something called brain-derived nootropic factor, and we actually decrease the deterioration of neurons. Cancer cells self-destruct during fasting, and it's been shown to reduce tumor activity and also spreading. And also the recycling of immune cells that are needed. Athletic performance. With fasting, we actually have a huge increase in testosterone, human growth hormone, and it lowers inflammation. Longevity and the ability to clean out those old cells that are wreaking havoc in our body. Now, what is intermittent fasting or fasting? Well, the classic would be kind of the way I grew up, which is I used to eat breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we would have dinner around 6, and then that part of the day was kind of over. So that meant I spent 12, maybe 13 hours without eating. This is intermittent fasting. But honestly, what I explain to my patients that come and see me, the first thing that we need to start doing, because this is unusual in our modern time, is stop snacking. That would be number one. Number two on the list, we do want to try to squish in the eating window. And most people in our culture feel more comfortable with skipping breakfast than dinner, only because it is social event at dinner. So where most of the fasting research is going is suggesting that an 8-hour window or even a 6-hour window for some people, it's something you're going to have to play around with, is where all the benefits are. So after eliminating the snacking, you can slowly, we're talking 1 hour, move your breakfast meal an hour or so later, and you will not experience any hunger until you come up with a schedule that works for you, and you certainly don't have to do it every day. So this is just the basic beginning of intermittent fasting, but certainly there are people doing what's called an OMAD diet, which is only 1 meal a day, where they actually confine their eating into like a 1 or even 2 hour window. And then we have extended fasts, which are, even like 36 hours, 72 hours. So this is something I definitely plan on doing another video on. But for today, I just want to suggest thinking about squishing in that eating window, stopping snacks. Finally, the only things allowed on the fasting window, of course, water, black tea or coffee, bone broth, and if you're really hungry, you can add fat because it does not trigger insulin or very much. The best solution to our modern dilemma of overweight, obesity, and all of our chronic conditions might be looking way back into our past and to remember that we can still have our feasting, but we need to be balancing it with the fasting. If you have found this video helpful, please click subscribe, like, share, comment. I would love to hear from you. And if you would like to discuss your personal situation, there is a link in the description below to book a no-cost call. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.